Hello and welcome to episode 92 of the Huddersfield Town Social. Town reap the rewards at the Royals after a swashbuckling display of solid defending, shithousery and stunning finishing from Cameron Ashia, sealing a 2-0 victory, a first one on the road for over 5 months. Boxer twitching football is officially back in business. However, if anything was to get us flaccid again, it was a run out in the League Cup, a competition where Town had only made it past the first round twice in the last 6 years and past the third round only 3 times in the last 65 years. But under Lee Grant, it all feels a bit different, doesn't it? And even though we ran the changes, the players delivered an impressive display of grit, determination and some more great finishing. After going behind twice, the Terriers fought back to finish 2-2 and Lee Nichols' save from Casey McAteer ensured a 3-2 win on penalties and a trip up to face Sunderland at the Stadium of Light in round 2. How pleased are you with Town right now? Does Marcus McGuane actually exist? Do we have enough depth after Miller's injury? And how tough a test will it be on our trip to the seaside this Saturday? I'll be your host, Nick Barlow, and joining me tonight is Ian Kilroy, Andy Kay, Tristan Batley-Kyle and Stephen Shepherd. Gaz has gone off to Turkey to get his Hollywood smile sorted out, so he is indisposed for this evening. But thank you, everybody who's already joined. If you're watching on YouTube or X, please get your comments in. We've already had some good questions on X that we'll go through later on. But yeah, get involved in the show, guys, and ask whatever you want. But evening, gents. How are we all today? We all right? Why would we not be after this week for Town? Absolutely. So let's get down to it, guys.
We just need to know how Gaz is doing. Like, he sent us a message on Monday saying he were all right and that his teeth look good. And then I asked him if he were coming on today again, and he said he'd struggle because of his swollen mouth. And we've heard nothing from him for 24 hours. So just want to put a shout out there, guys. Hope you're all right, mate. And we're looking forward to seeing your glow up for the podcast. He's really taking it seriously, you know. He's getting his face done. I wonder if he's in for a Mr. Paparazzi 6-pack next up, guys. We'll have to ask him next time he's on. But all the best, guys.
If he comes back Botoxed, he's going all out, is all, Gaz. But yeah, hopefully you're all right, mate. Sorry for taking the piss. Big up to you. Hopefully you'll be back on soon. But lads, look, let's start with Reading, and then we'll get on to Leicester, which obviously is a big thing because that's just happened. But let's just talk about Reading because, you know, I was a bit tentative going into this. Reading's not normally been a happy hunting ground for us, and you never know. After the first game, there's all that excitement, but there was a few things where we were a little bit iffy, a little bit too much possession for Leyton Orient for my liking. So it was interesting to see going to Reading how we would respond, and we knew that Lee Grant was obviously going to make a few changes. And I thought, you know, the first half I thought was pretty even. I think we had a really good chance. I think Joe Taylor, after some really good work from Miller down the left, puts it straight at the keeper when I think either side really should have scored, should have buried that. But I think the key point in that first half, Killer, was that Lewis Wing went off, which you never really want to say a player go off, but a player of that quality is always going to hurt, isn't it? And obviously Reading then had to change things. But I think that first half, was pretty even. I was a bit frustrated with the passing, I have to say. Too many passes going astray. I think we were a bit too excited, just trying to rush things a little bit too much at times. But yeah, after that first half, I thought, mate, we're still in it, even Stevens, and probably should have scored through Taylor, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should have done. The first half wasn't the greatest, but that's what you get in League One at away games. There's like a filling out process as well. You have to build yourself into games, and Reading, obviously, they lost Harvey Nibbs before the beginning of the season, and with Lewis Wing, like you say, going off halfway through that first half, it made it very, very different from them. They've gone from a team that was, without doubt, probably the best midfield in the division when they had Nibbs, Savage, and Lewis Wing playing, and then all of a sudden, 29 minutes into this game, they've lost. Obviously, Nibbs not starting and Wing as well, so it changed the dynamics for them. We were fantastic in that first half. I think at half time, it'd be remiss of me now saying I wasn't frustrated. I was, and I really do feel like the swap to have Arthur May playing out wide with Joe Taylor down the middle kind of accommodates Taylor and takes a lot out of May. And I think that was a lot of the reasons why we struggled going forward in that game, especially in the first half. I took some pelters for that one as well. In the people came back to me after the game saying, "Well, we won, didn't we?" And we did, absolutely. I will quickly say that if you wanted to finish top 2, you have to be better more often than not against the better teams as well. And you've got to get these right in games against teams that maybe not there at the end of the season. And I just felt something was off playing further forward, but it was all right, wasn't it, Nick? And we've had a lot of first halves against teams like that over last season that went very, very differently, where we don't kick on in the second half and get worse. But no, Reading had an uphill battle for them when they've got absolutely no midfield. And it's just nice to see Town winning a midfield battle, because we've had so many games where that's not been the case.
Yeah, and I thought that Kiawira was dangerous on the left side. I think anyone with pace, I'm always a bit, because we always seem to struggle a bit with players that are direct with pace. But do you know what? I thought, again, what shone to me, Andy, and I know you went, mate, to me, we look organised, we look like a unit. No matter if we change things, we seem to have this calmness at the back. I thought we were really composed, and we weren't really troubled, were we? For all the kind of play that Reading had, they did get kind of close a couple of times, but we never, to me, watched it. It never really looked like we were going to concede.
No, I never felt that we were in that much bother. It never felt like it was going to be one of those where they were dangerous every time they came forward. Was it O'Mahony there, the lad up front for them? Honestly, not much of a threat. The lads, the number 11, the guy that I can't remember his name. Was he the guy you were on about? I can't pronounce his name. Apologies to him. Not only was a shithouse, he was a good player, and he looked threatening. Sorensen did all right with him. That looked the avenue that they were going to score from, if anything. I never felt that we were put under that much pressure. Yes, we did look composed. Lowe won all the defensive headers. I said in mine, like my vlog, didn't I? I was a bit grumpy about Taylor missing that chance. When I've had a look back at it, actually, they've got keeper Papadomans who saves it, but they've got 2 lads either side of him. So there's actually not that much of a gap for him to hit. Yes, he should be doing better, but I think maybe I felt a bit harsh towards him. That was a tough chance, really. There wasn't much for space for him to hit, but I never felt, certainly up to half time, knowing that the Lord God Lee Grant is going to go and work his half-time genius with whatever communication he puts across, whatever he says in his management consultant speak style. It gets something out of him second half. I thought the first half was a little bit like the Leyton Orient game in that we started well and then sort of faded away. Maybe we didn't believe in it as much as we should do, and we came back into it second half. And yeah, I know we're going to talk about Cameron Ashia. But yeah, it looked like set piece was going to be the only way that we were going to do it. And Watmer's goal was quite similar in some respects to the one that he scored against us for Wigan back in the day, however long ago that was, 3 years ago, at that back post and getting something on it. It just dropped nice for him, and he toe hooked in and then ran and blew kisses to pretty much everybody in the way end. So, you know, he's got a lot of people that were there with him because he'd spent more time blowing kisses to the crowd than he did actually playing, bless him. But yeah, and then Cameron Ashia's goal, like I said on my blog, what a privilege. What a privilege to be there and see that happen for that young man. Great stuff. Loved it.
Yeah, Mark, hello to you, mate. Is Ruskin our breakthrough player this season? I don't know, mate, but I tell you what, although it frustrates me at times because I just think just whip ball in quicker. Do you know, like Miller does? He runs at people and he gets, whereas Ruskin he gets there, but he's just a little bit tentative for my liking. I don't know what you think, lads, but he is getting in the right places, and he can get decent balls in, and he's already got a goal. Do you think he could really push on this season? I don't know. It just frustrates me a little bit. Steve, what do you think?
Give him a chance. I think there's a player in him. He played exceptionally well last night, to be fair, in that first half that were quite dull. But going back to the Reading game, like you say, he does get in them positions, doesn't he? And you just think, quick, whip it in. But I think that's only because he's young, a bit unexperienced. Didn't play a lot in League One last year with his injuries and stuff, did he? But I do really rate him. I think there's a player there, I think he'll come good this season. And especially now with Miller being out, it's a lot on his head and shoulders, isn't he? He's got to really kick on and cement that place as his own. But I thought he did that last night. I thought he were really, really good at creating space, and he did his job getting back as well. He's a bit lightweight, isn't he, and gets knocked off at ball sometimes, but he never gives up. He always battles and harasses, and he won it back, didn't he, last night for Wiles's little chip. which probably got Killer really excited, didn't he, when that chance came through. But yeah, I do think there's a player in him. I like him. I do rate him.
Yeah, and it's nice because there was one point last season I thought he's going to leave here. He didn't look happy to me, but it's fair play to him. He's rolled his sleeves up and he's got stuck in. He's doing the hard yards and he's putting a shift in. So yeah, hopefully he'll kick on even more. Steve
He signed a new
Brailsford,
deal, didn't he?
You want Steve? Sorry.
He signed a new deal, didn't he? And he said that his family and stuff were a bit more settled and a bit more happy.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite promising for him.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference, doesn't it? Because we forget that these people are humans. So we forget that, they've got family life. There's all these that come into play, just like it does for all of us at work. So if he's settled at home, if everyone's happy, then he's obviously going to be happy when he's on the pitch, isn't he? So Steve Brailsford, hello, mate. Morning, chaps. Still buzzing. We're all buzzing, mate. We're all on cloud nine at the moment. Ian Matthewman, hello, mate. Terrier Jack, Michael Bottomley, Jed Robinson, all the way from sunny Australia. I'm not jealous at all. I think one of the things that's really impressed me under Lee Grant is we come out in the second half a better side. We come out firing. We give it to the opposition. And I don't like speaking ill of previous managers all the time, but under Michael Duffy, we've been tranked, haven't it? We come out heads down, right somber, no energy whatsoever. Under Lee Grant, it's a complete opposite. And Trist, again, Taylor, I don't want to draw it too much, but he has a great chance a couple of minutes in. And I'm just wondering, could he squared it to May there, who were coming in unmarked? But he has a shot and it gets saved. But again, it's a good statement of intent in it right from the off. We're right in their faces in the second half.
Yeah, I think it's certainly noticeable. I think because in the last few years we've not done that, have we? Quite as you alluded to. So I think it probably what should be the norm for most teams is like something really new and brilliant to us, isn't it? And actually it's just what should happen as a standard.
Revolutionary.
But, yeah. And I thought again though, a lot of it was about shape and and I know something Killer's alluded to in the past around how we judge a manager is how he can change stuff in the game. I thought in kind of early on in the second half that they started to operate with kind of within those half spaces between our sort of defensive midfield and attacking midfielders, utilising those three midfielders that they had, and Savage kind of got in between, almost between the full back, a bit wide of kind of Ledson and what have you, but behind the wingers, and so they got a bit of space in there. But as soon as they started to do that, we kind of wised up to it a little bit, and we kind of shut the space, and I think we've sort of talked about this where we seem to go really deep. That seems to be how they counter it, where they just shut that space down completely. Now, I think there's a little bit of work on that. I think probably both goals last night came a little bit from that, where the two kind of defensive midfielders almost drop flat into the defence, and the three in front of them are a bit higher up, and so there is a space to operate in. But yeah, I think we've seen, I don't know the stat, but last season, how many times we came out after half time and a team scored. So many times it happened, time and time again. It became a bit of a joke, and we seem to have addressed that by effectively trying to just shut down all the space, get a foothold in the game, and build from there. And actually, it can be a bit of a surprise weapon as well, can't it? Because we seem to really, that aggressive kind of play that Grant's talked about. We are very aggressive in how we snap out of defence and go into attack, almost like we're playing kind of counter-attacking football a little bit, So yeah, it's as Andy says, although it's not quite revolutionary, it is quite nice to see, and it's a bit of a breath of fresh air, and it's kind of I guess as well, Nick, to be honest with you, it adds to what we're all kind of getting a little bit giddy about. It's basic things, and I suppose, dare I say it goes back to that northern football, doesn't it? Quite Billy basic stuff, but stuff that actually just gets us off our seats and excites us a little bit.
Yeah. You want a team to be proud of, don't you? You want a team to get behind, to connect with, to see that they're all giving their all, that they're working as one. And that's what we're getting. That's exactly what we're getting at the moment. So we're all happy. Gareth Kay, he might not be, but he's still watching, he's still supporting. That's the kind of man he is with his turkey teeth. Evening, boys. Nice to see you wheeled out the big guns tonight. Absolutely, mate. Well, listen, get yourself sorted soon and get back on here, mate. But I think, football is fine margins in it. And look, Reading, one of their players whips a ball in and their player manages to miss a header from about 4 yards out, which I don't understand how he doesn't connect with that header. But if he does and they score, it might be a completely different game. But then we get a cheap corner. Miller puts a great ball in, and Watmore scores a classic League One goal, doesn't he? And it's kind of a knockdown, a scramble. Reading fans are claiming there should have been a free kick. The balls, he just wasn't strong enough. He just fell to the floor, and he pucks it in. It's fantastic, and the scenes celebrating in front of the fans, perfect, wasn't it?
It's mental, isn't it, though? Like you said, this is second game of the season, and we're celebrating it like we've just qualified for playoff final or something like that. Honestly, the togetherness on the field is ridiculous. And I know you're a massive League Grantite. Is that what you were? A Grant disciple? We'll think of something. We'll
think of something. Yeah. Whatever it is, I'll get a T-shirt with it on. Whatever it is.
You have been from day one, right? But to be fair, as a quick aside, it's easier when you're winning. I get that, but then being like that helps you win. So it's a bit of a self-fulfilling kind of prophecy there. But you can see it. Like I say, Watmore's, he wanted it more. He got there before anybody else. I thought maybe we're going to score the drop down if Watmore didn't. He was ready to pounce and put it in the back of the goal. But like I say, it's again, I likened it on the review show to when we beat Newcastle away, and I think at that point you could just feel like something special was happening, and that's where we're at right now. And this is very different to last year, where I think even when we'd won 2 or 3 in a row, it didn't feel the same. It felt a little bit. You had to be. It's like, is it Huttenfeld, the old Southampton manager, when he's like celebrating, and then runs back and calms it down. It feels like that's the kind of what we're happening last year. We're like, whoa, calm down a little bit. This isn't necessarily going to go fantastically because the squad's a little bit weak. We've got issues. You can see issues. You can't see too much with us. And like you say, when second halves are so much better than first halves because you're making so many good adjustments, it's only a really good thing. But to see, again, not just to win late on, but the passion the players had from winning late on in just the second game in the season means more than anything else. Like if at the end of that game, say we'd have drawn and not won, I actually don't think it'd have been too big of a deal. It was that moment where you could see how much it meant to them and what their target for this season is. We've had individuals playing for this club for too long where they're out for themselves. One of them was back playing against us last week for Leyton Orient, where they've got flashes of genius themselves, but they're not there for the good of the team. Whereas I think somehow right now, it looks like we have, and I really do feel like the feel-good factor around everything and what everybody felt in that moment, be it at home watching it on TV or in the stadium, is that realization that actually this is different now. We've got something really special that might go on and do something really well this year. There's a chance of it, and we haven't had a chance of it for so long. It's just nice when your centre-back is bundling it into the back of the goal like that. Normally, it's a headed goal, isn't it, like last year? But no, there was fight in there and then passion when he'd scored it. It was a fantastic moment for everyone.
I'll just jump on that, Killer. Do we win that game this time last year? Because I know we did that little unbeaten run, didn't we? And the football wasn't great, but we were winning games. I know we weren't all happy, but we still were like 15, 16 unbeaten or something like that. I know we've got 10 new faces, but if you go back, do we win that game or is it a 1-1 draw?
I think we'd have got frustrated in the last 20 minutes. I think if we're a better team for 17, not getting there. I think last year we beat Shrewsbury away late on in a game that were actually pretty similar when it comes to balance. But was there any others? Is that the only one that we won late on, I think, from a nip and tuck?
Barnsley, didn't we? Didn't Barnsley nick one?
But it's not many. I
I
don't know
know
if
the
we would have won
football's
it.
changed and we've got 10 new faces, but I'm just like thinking back, and we were all rosy then, weren't we? And we all were aboard in the Pistol League ship. Obviously, it sank towards the end of the season, but I just think, do we win that game last year? Because I think with the way that we've come out now in the second half, and there's that, like you said, that spirit, that belief, it is a totally different team. Like I said, I know we've got 10 new faces and new management, but I don't want to jump ship to let's not get giddy and carried away, because we had a good run last year and wheels fell off. He's going to face rocky at times, isn't he?
He is, but we didn't back it up prior to it with a good performance, and then afterwards again
true.
with a good performance. I think that shows you the character of the team and the squad, because last year it was the same guys being wheeled out every game after game after game unless somebody got injured. We've got a bit of a bingo machine at the moment when it comes to how Lee Grant picks his team, and yet we're still getting the same results on the field. And I think that's another big difference. Yeah, it is embryonic. We're only 3 games in, but these things to me, Steve, that look a lot different to last year. Although
Yeah, I'm all on that side. I'm just wondering your opinions. Do you think this last season, do we win that, or is it a 1-1 draw and we walk away happy?
I don't think so. No, not for me, because you've got to look at what we got on the bench. I think that one of the big things that happened on Saturday was the big issues with the 2 fullbacks. They weren't great. Sorensen was looking weak against the 11. Was it Miller that was at fullback and he got moved forward, and I think he brought Ruskin on. Forgive me, I've slept on drunk basis then, so I can't remember the exact change. But he changed 3 out of the 4 defenders, and we go on from that point and win 2-0. You can't necessarily put it down to that, but there's more quality on the bench to come on and actually change a game. Whereas last year you'd look at the bench and go, who the hell's going to change this game for us? And there wasn't anybody that could do it. Now we've got that. Like Castledine, who came on last night, he could change a game for us. I was quite impressed by him to a certain extent last night. So I think we've just got better players, and because we've got better players, you can expect better results. And so I certainly we wouldn't have won that last year because we wouldn't have had the quality to turn the game around like we did.
We've not only got better players, we've got better mentality, Andy. I think, if you take Alfie May as an example, we were talking about earlier, Ian, I know what you're saying about him being wide, that obviously that goal threat, that our most prolific striker wants to be central, doesn't it? But he was playing out wide. Now, most strikers would assault there. They'd have, I'm not playing out there. I'm not going to give 100%. Well, there were none of that with me, were they? They were here, there and everywhere.
He's everywhere.
Putting a proper shift in.
Yeah.
And players like that, it's a massive threat no matter where he is. And players like that make a huge difference. And that's a mentality thing. That's, giving one for the team. It's putting your own feelings aside, getting stuck in and getting the job done. And we just didn't have that. We didn't have that last season. We had too many sulkers in that side. Too many people feeling sorry for themselves instead of rolling the sleeves up and putting a shift in. And it's great. It's brilliant to see. Sean O'Toole says we want the team to grass the nettles. I mean, I love Lee Grant, but what's that about, man? What's that about grass the nettles?
It's what leaders do, man.
I went out in garden and I tested that theory and grabbed some nettles, and it did not feel any different, mate. I can tell you now. But
but you improved as a human because you did it, and that's what it's all about.
Because I went and did it. Maybe that sounds like a forfeit. If ever I've seen one for whoever gets the prediction wrong for Nick's naked nettle run for whoever gets the worst prediction for where Town finish this season. Gaz K, 3 good showings back to back, all very different wins too. And I think, that's a good point, Gaz, that we aren't just one dimensional, are we? Like you say, he's chopping and changing the side, different players coming in, reacting to the opposition. And this is what we said we were hoping to see from Grant, reacting in games, making those subs at the back. But it had a great impact. You see, I thought Sorensen, I thought it was poor going forward in that Reading game. I thought he did some good stuff defensively, but going forward, I wasn't too keen. But then when Gooch came on, made a big difference. So, his subs were very good. And talking about grasping opportunity, Cameron Ashia came on, and you're thinking, well, he's a young lad. He's let's see this out to the end, 1-0. But we keep going forward, and that's another difference, isn't it? Trist, from last season, we'd have probably sat back, tried to keep the 1-0 and probably conceded, but we kept going forward. We get the free kick, And what a finish that is. The more I see it, the more I like it, mate. It's so composed, isn't it? It's so calm. It's like a striker that's been there for 20 years. Just cushions it in. And what a moment for him. Celebrating in front of the fans. That's what football's all about, innit? Youngsters coming through, doing stuff like that. Getting us all excited.
Absolutely, mate. I will just say as well, you know, and I know Killer touched on it at the start. Sorry, I think you also saw in the build up to that, and bizarrely when he took Taylor off and brought Charles on, he kept May out wide. So there's got to be something more in that, like that he trusts him defensively more than the others or something. But the kind of quality that May showed, and you know, I've watched it a few times back, and he almost do, you know, I almost think every time, oh, he's just going to whack this ball upfield. Then I remember he's where he just dinks it over the defender, and then I think, oh, he's just going to bang it into the box, and he plays a nice little pass into Charles, and that's the quality he's got, you know, and I think that's the quality that we're just lacking. You know, can we honestly say that Taylor, Charles, Freddie, Bojan would have offered that? They wouldn't. You know, Ward last season, they wouldn't have done that. You know, and that is just that bit of quality that, you know, quite as you allude to, Nick. You know, we're 1-0 up, or let's just hammer it into the box, or let's get down the line, or you know, something like that, and actually tries to play. But yeah, you know, what a finish. I know we'll come on to it, but he seems to be finding a knack of being able to finish. I will say though, I think he's more of a central player, or a lad that likes to come in from the left. You know, he's not going outside and beating a man. Although I appreciate when he carried the ball upfield towards the end to win a corner, he did go past the lad. But I think I think he looks a decent prospect, you know, and he's certainly got something about him, hasn't he? You know, that finish, particularly for a young lad, you know, who he could have just thrashed it, couldn't he? You know, let's be honest, it could have ended up with Andy in crowd, couldn't it? Quite easily. We've seen it so many times. Yeah. So, you know, I think fair play to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it where he just took it to corner. Yeah. Showing that bit of proper maturity, and then up to the crowd. But that's what we've been missing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you don't get those sorts of things from a young player, though, do you? It's not what you would normally associate with somebody who's only 18, or with their real maturity there to draw the foul, get us up the right end of the pitch, and keep us there, rather than trying to do something silly and losing the ball. I thought that was one of my favourite moments of the whole game. That I loved it.
But you know, he was, if not around the squad, he was in the club last year. You know, and that would have been quite easy. You know, we sat on here last year and we're like, oh, you know, they don't care. You know, the players are apparently talking about the fans. The fans don't like the players. Blah blah blah. You know, and he was around that. So something clearly has changed. Something, you know, and quite monumentally. Last time when we, and I'm not jumping on, I'm with Steve. I'm not jumping quite on that train yet. But last time when, you know, with the Wagner Revolution and kind of the Terrier Spirit type stuff and all that, was really cleverly kind of harnessed and you know, and whipped up into a frenzy by Sean Jarvis and, you know, and whoever else. There's not that behind it at the minute. You know, this is just, it's just organic, isn't it? You know, it's just something that's happening internally within the team. And again, I know I seem to mention it every week, but as Andy alluded to in Austria, the club, or certainly Lee Grant, seems to realise the importance of kind of how they act towards the fans, and how, you know, and how they act as individuals, and, you know, what impact that has. And, you know, quite as you alluded to, Nick, it's a young lad, and all he's doing is winning a corner in the grand scheme of things, and he's giving it And if at the end of the season we end up going up, that'll be on the highlights reel, winning a corner. Because that's what it was, though, isn't it? It just summed up that feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. It's good.
Definitely. So 2-0, pretty perfect, isn't it? No goals conceded, 5 scored, top of the league. It don't get much better than that, does it? Obviously, we'll talk about injuries later on. We always get an injury, don't we? Just to spoil things a little bit, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about Leicester though, while it's fresh in everyone's mind. So the only place to start, first half, Ian, I'll ask you about it, mate. The referee, Charles goes down under a foul from Ben Nelson after cutting in the box, and it's only early in the game. That's what I'll say. And often referees, they are lenient early, and it's same with cards, and it's wrong because a foul's a foul. But for me, that is the only reason that he's not giving it, because to me that's a stonewall penalty. I don't understand, other than it being so early, how he hasn't given that.
Huddersfield Town, Nick, we're not allowed to get that many penalties in a row. You got to have, even in these moments, so many decisions in between gimme penalties before the referee gives one. I don't understand it. Of all the shouts in the game, including the penalty shootout at the end, I think there were less penalties than that one, to be totally honest. I just don't. But you're right though, Nick. It's 4 minutes in. It's 4 minutes in, and that's why it wasn't given. That's the only way I can see.
He were in a great position as well, wasn't he? He were
that's
there
the thing
straight
as well.
away, and then he went like that.
Yeah,
It were like,
yeah.
what?
No,
You're in
I
the
watched
best
it at home.
spot. And he did
yeah,
that.
I watched it at
Like,
home, and David Phillips were on. Phillips was on commentary, and he said you can see the referees in great position for this. How's he not giving it? That's what you get with Town, innit? That's what we get at home. It was, again, it's like a bad tackle in the first couple of minutes. For it to be a red card is very difficult. It's much harder to get one. It's like getting a penalty is harder to win than a free kick, and it shouldn't be. It should be the same decision no matter where a foul is committed on the pitch, but it's not. That's the reality of the situation, and it's the same when it comes to early door penalties. If it's 90th minute, they give that penalty. They won't give it in the first 4 minutes, but it's ridiculous. And it also, though, I do think if it was the other way around and the team from the division above get it up at the other end, they probably give it as well. But when you are the smaller team, I don't like saying that about Town ever, but if you're the team from the division below expected to lose, more often than not, those decisions go against you, and it was just another one. But to be fair, Nick, if we are getting these poor decisions at any point this year, if they can be in the cup games, that's absolutely fine for me. I think maybe this long term, looking at the odds alone, it might not be a bad thing that we've got shafted on more than one decision when it comes to penalties yesterday.
I mean, Charles would have probably missed it anyway. Do you know what I mean? But it's not the point, is it? It's when it's a stonewall penalty. It wasn't even like 50-50, were it? It would in. I think the other one, Jed's saying we should have had 3 penalties. I think maybe 2. I'm not sure about the other one. I think the other one were a bit soft, personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, again though, and it shows intent, doesn't it? We're out there straight away. Most of the time, like a side in the division below, they might sit back, and yeah, Leicester had a lot of the ball first half, but yeah, I didn't think they didn't really threaten us that much. I thought that youngster, that 16-year-old, I can't remember his name. He caused
Monga
on that side.
Yeah.
He looked decent, apart from throwing himself to the floor. Like
I'm going to say,
trying to get a pen, which was embarrassing. But
Premier League kid.
Yeah. He's been watching too much Spanish football and Premier League football, I think. But yeah, other than that, he causes a lot of problems. But I wasn't as down as some were on that first half. Some were moaning, saying we should have got more chances, and I think we only had 4 or 5 touches in their box. But you're playing against a Leicester side who's fancied to be up there challenging to get back to Premier. It was never going to be easy. But I think when we did get the ball, I thought we were industrial. We pressed them, showed good energy, and yeah, when we did have the ball, we tried to make the most of it. And I think we were unlucky not to go in 1-up, because I think we should have had a pen. But Andy, it all happened second half, didn't it? So I guess the Thursday we'll talk about their goal and Feeney. I think it's a bit of a poor clearance. Maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe you'll tell me I'm being harsh, Andy. But I think he sticks a leg out. It's a bit more reactionary, but it goes to Hamza Chowdhury, who absolutely smashes it in top corner. Now, I think sometimes you've got to hold your hands up and say, we've conceded a good goal there, because that's probably the best goal he's going to score in his life, isn't it, really?
It's not difficult for that to be best goals. He's only scored 2 or something in his entire career. It's a low bar in it, to be fair. But it was a screamer. But I can't give that so and so. I can't say what I really think of him. Any sort of credit, Spawny sod.
He's such a nice guy, though, Andy. He looks like such a nice guy on the pitch.
I can't be doing with it. I can never do with him. I mean, that lot get on my goat anyway, and I've done ever since the Premier League years. But you know that what's he called, feces or whatever he is, that lad with mock hair that's lurking for them. I don't know. I couldn't read back of his shirt. I'm sure it says that, feces on back of his shirt. But the attitude was disgraceful. So I'm giving him no credit at all for it, because I don't want to. I think, not a great clearance by Feeney. I think that the one that's really at fault is Kasumu, because he's gone to make the block, and he's done that thing that, you know, he's turned away from it. He's hung a leg out and turned away from it.
It wasn't Kasumu. It was Ruskin.
Was it not Kasumu? Was it Ruskin? Right, okay.
Yeah, and then afterwards, Ruskin has a second chance of blocking the shot. So basically, Chowdhury gets it, and Ruskin turns his back, leaves a leg in. Afterwards, when he recollects the ball from Feeney's poor attempt of a clearance, Ruskin again doesn't watch him go. So he's at fault for 2 of them. So maybe he is a winger and not a fullback, looking at that.
Yeah. But I was suffering from train lag, because I was coming down from Glasgow down to Wakey, and it was a bit of a Sky Sports Plus was a little bit. So when all the good stuff happened, it was when I got a little spinning thing round. So I'd come back in, and I didn't see Ashia's goal live. I just saw him running off, like stood at corner flag. I thought, what's up with him? And realised that notification came through that it was 2-2. So yeah, I can't add much value for your second half, because the nearer I got to the north, to the north of England, the worse the signal got. So I don't know what that tells you about the infrastructure in the northern half of the UK. But yeah, I really struggled to get any sort of signal. But yeah, I made some weird noises on the train, particularly during the penalty shootout, and I was getting a few strange looks from people who were like, what's this little fat man going like that? What's it? Is he having some sort of fit? But like, and like that. So
you'll be getting put on Greg Mara's list.
Yeah, there'll be some communication about me for being disruptive. But sorry, I can't have much value on that. But yeah, I won't give Chowdhury any credit at all. I can't stand the fellow.
Well, Jeff Daly here says, love to see the refs report after games. Crazy didn't give that blatant pen. Well, I won't bother, mate, because you don't get much from refs, do you? Even when it's blatant errors, you very rare. You might get an apology occasionally, but even that donkey couldn't not give the penalty for us after. I am going to give Chowdhury credit, Andy, because he absolutely
did a good job on him.
Allowing us a nice penalty for. What is he doing, Steve? He just wipes him out. I've no idea what was going through his head there, but I'm
just go back 2 minutes before that, like you were saying, we play different dimensions. It went out to Gooch, didn't it? And Gooch lobbed the ball straight over. So, like you were saying, I thought that was a fantastic ball from Gooch for Ruskin to run onto it. And I think Ruskin did it for the first half, didn't he? He did the little drag back, the little Cruyff turn like that when we didn't get the penalty in the first time. But then obviously this time he had to give it, because he just scissored him, didn't he, and mullered him. And then it were obviously a penalty, more than happy, until our mate Charles stepped up to take it. I was sat with my little lad in here, and I just went, oh no. And he went, what? And I says, it's Charles. I says, I bet he misses. And he did. But obviously we were quite lucky then for the young lad Vost as well to be proactive. He were there, wasn't he? He was the only one bombing in when he knew his mate were going to miss, and then nodded it in. So the fighting spirit, keep going.
Spirit, hang on. Steve, no character either. Look at you doubting Charles. No wonder he's missed.
I'm done with him, mate. As soon as he did that Bolton thing, I'm done with him. I was quite happy. I thought we can give him a chance. I last season, if we go back, I was more than happy and hoping he were going to be something, but I'm done with him. He's as bad as the Chris Packet, Radulovic. Just get rid.
I really felt for Charles, though. I know, but I really felt for him in that moment. I'm with you, Steve, right? Honestly,
terrible.
Going back to the Bolton game, I thought was a silly thing to do, but you have to move on.
Yeah.
We have to improve as people.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And hopefully,
what's he done? Nothing.
The thing that got me, he didn't just miss it. Penalty was shite as well.
It was awful.
It was
just a pass, wasn't it? The
It just
keeper will
shows
be
me,
more
though,
disappointed that he didn't push it out, because when he pushed it back in,
it just shows
honestly,
you
it was
with him
shocking.
how little confidence he really has at the moment. And what's really surprising with Charles, though, is he actually presses particularly well. May's the best we've got at it. But if you're looking at who works best as a 9 at pressing between Taylor, May, and Charles, Taylor's the worst of the 3. He doesn't offer very much off the ball at all, whereas Charles does. And I think going forward in particular games, Charles probably on the right or left-hand side as a winger doing the chasing down. There'll be a use for him. I actually see during the course of this season some sort of use for him because he does chase well, and defensively he's okay, but I just don't see where a goal's coming with him at all. Like, there was a chance in the second half where he's in the box and he has 50, probably 10 yards before there's anybody near him, and all they have to do is take a simple touch and he's got a clean shot at goal. And his first touch, because he's overthinking it, because he's stressing, it's just, he is, to me, the perfect kind of player who needs to go play for a B team, or under 21s as we call it now, and get a couple of goals. He needs to find goals. This is where reserve team football is fantastic. He's an all that. We can't send him out on loan. That's not what we need him. We need him as a part of the squad, but he needs a goal, because when you look at him and the mistakes he's making when it comes to that final moment, it's just that I think mentally he's not quite at it. I don't think Taylor's totally great either. I think he's struggling a little bit when it comes to confidence. And maybe that's what happens when you think you've both come in as starting strikers last January, then at the last possible moment before the season starts, Town go in and bring League One's best in Alfie May. And maybe that's kind of put extra pressure on the strikers. Some people thrive under pressure. Some strikers don't. Some strikers need to play week in and week out to get it. But this really is where you need a reserve team to try and get some goals into them. And Charles is just, for me, looking at him, 90% of his game, I'm not going to say it's good. I'm saying it's all right, and there's a use for him. And Lee Grant will be able to find that, I think. But when it comes to finishing, he's just really struggling. And I felt for him. If he could have scored the penalty, I don't actually think that would have helped too much, because it's not a goal from open play. So whilst it'd have been a goal on the start, I think the risk of him missing it will have been worse for him. And I think he's actually made it harder for himself now than if he hadn't taken the penalty in the first place. But like you say, Dan Vost, what a guy. Honestly, another guy that we see him playing yesterday. And this is what I really enjoyed. Well, what I really enjoyed about yesterday's game is Town went out with he rotated the squad as we do, but he didn't rotate into a bag of shite, right? So it's not 11 lads that are really, really young. Town are playing against better opposition and they're holding on for dear life all game. They're just really trying to stay. That's not what Town did. Grant put out a team there that was more than competitive, really strong. You still got vice-captain playing in Wowzer. And you've got starters across the field who will get excessive amounts of game time for us this year, with a couple of young lads in there as well to give them a fair chance of a good start and a good first team experience on the full debuts. And both of them have come out with goals. And that was the most positive thing in the entire thing yesterday. It wasn't just the win. That's good. But it's the fact that we blooded some young lads in a team that was actually quite strong against good opposition. So they had useful experience, not 11 men against, like last year, what were it, boys against men, when we had Doncaster in the cup. We played Walsall in an EFL Cup game as well. When that makes it pointless. It's an experience getting on the coach, getting ready, getting kitted up, playing against better footballers, but you don't have the ball enough to be able to learn how to play and progress your own career in those moments, I don't think. Whereas yesterday we could, and I was just really happy for Dan Vost. But for Dion Charles, it's going to be a tough way back. He just needs to get a goal off his ass or something. Just a deflection. We don't have to think about it. Where it just bounces off him and goes in. Because I don't honestly think he could buy a goal at the moment.
Don't you think don't you think as well though? Two things. Vost's goal just summed up his performance. You know, nobody else ran into that box. Charles almost was sulking that he'd missed the penalty and so didn't react. And Vost kind of just strode in, headed ball in, and kind of ran off. And that for me summed his game up. He came in, he did his job, and he went. He came in, he did his job, he went. Charles, completely agree with you, Killer. I think you know, him missing is far worse than him actually scoring it. And actually yesterday, something that I noticed, and I hadn't really noticed it since probably early when he arrived. His movement and his positioning in particular is appalling, you know, and I think he presses well, but then he doesn't. Then he'll look like he's shaping up, and back to goal, I think he's not bad, quite as you said. I think back to goal, he can hold the ball up quite well. He won the free kick at Reading as an example. But then that point from there, gone. You know, like Jordan Rhodes had as an example, he's just not got. So there was a ball. I think it might have been him that put it back out wide. Someone, I think it was probably Ruskin, went down the wing, looking for someone in box, and he's kind of ambling, and
Tristan. It was. I saw that exact moment, and Taylor did the same thing. Taylor did the same thing against Reading a couple of times. It's like they engage with that first pass, that first play, but then they don't have the nous or whatnot, the confidence at the moment to stay engaged in the play. And when you're playing with one focal point striker, you can't do that. If your wing is going down one of the sides, your number 9 has to be in there. And when Alfie May plays there, he does. Jordan Rhodes did it. That's the difference, I think, between League One strikers and like proper being there, done that, know what they're doing, going to score 20 plus goals a year. They always stay engaged. It buys you those cheap goals. That's where Alfie May gets half of his goals, bounces in the box, prods them home, because he's always live when it comes to us going forward. But I'm with you on Charles there, Tristan, in that he's okay defensively as a striker, which is weird. But with the way Grant plays, we're very, very structured and narrow in defence. Going forward, we're very expressive, and there's loads of freedom for the front four. The 2 defensive midfielders sit, and that protects the back four, and one of the full-back scores as that kind of Bielsa brought in, didn't he, really? Is that extra kind of wing full-back that can just end up forward and go wherever he wants, and then everybody else adjusts around it. But defensively, everybody's really, really structured. And I've said before, guys, big hard Ds win things. It's a big hard D that you need. It's not just the goals. It's not giving goals away. And that's what we're doing. And Charles does that side of it really well. But then when you transition into being on the ball and trying to attack and create chances, it's like he can't switch it back on. And maybe if we played a different way where he didn't have to do as much defensively. And again, I think Taylor's the same in this, but not as affected from confidence as Charles is, or Taylor's just a better player at the moment. I think you'd see a different kind of Charles, because again, we've got so many strikers that can't do it, but they're not all bad strikers because they've played elsewhere in different systems and scored goals. But then they've come to us and they look like they've never played as a striker before. Taylor's kind of washing that off a little bit now, but last year that was the problem. But with this new defensive mindset and pressing from the front, I have to say, by the way, Ruskin is the best attacking defender I have ever seen. When it comes to him winning the ball back high, you will not find a better player in this division anywhere that wins the ball back. 6 recoveries he had yesterday, I think, in the final third. I think that's where it worked. I think I've seen a graphic today saying that he's just so good at it. Charles can do that, not as well, but he can do that. But yeah, that transition into attack, he turns off Tristan, and it's why he won't score that many goals until he gets some sort of change. And I just don't know how you do it with him.
And I think then, Killer, something that possibly is quite underrated with then how they play is actually that Wiles is the one that's having to run beyond them. And so that movement then is Wiles going into that space. So he did it at Reading where the ball actually almost beat him out of play, and it looks like he's put a cross into the side netting, but I think the ball will probably overhit. That's then where he's doing that, and I think that's fine, but actually you don't want him in those positions as much as you want the strikers in those positions. So I think that's something Grant's probably going to have to work with.
Do you think it's just a system as well for Charles? Do you think if it were Charles and Taylor up front, fully fit, do you think that would make any difference? Because they've scored goals in a 2 other clubs. And I just find it weird with Charles that he scored for fun. Well, he didn't score for fun, but he had a good goal scoring record for Bolton, and then he comes to us and he can't hit a barn door, can he?
He's just a bad signing. He's just a bad one. Just put it down as a bad signing. I can't say any more. I do agree with you. He hustles and bustles, puts himself about, but I watched him against Reading last night. Like just you've said, his positioning were awful. He were always 5 yards away from what were happening. 10 yards sometimes when Ruskin were bombing on, and then he was like, oh yeah, I better start running. I'm an attacker. He was like, come on, push yourself forward. And then when he was defending, he were doing a lot of running about, but it were like donkey work, headless chicken work, running about on his own when everybody else is behind the halfway line. So it's like you're chasing shadows, mate.
Thing is, Bolton fans said this when we signed Charles. They kind of said he's not the same as he used to have been, which I find it's hard though with him because you look at him and he's in shape. Clearly, he's a smallish lad, and small strikers normally last quite a while. They don't drop off until they're in the mid-30s and whatnot, or early 30s. Rhodes went, I guess. But with Charles, he's only 29, but it just looks like he's at that point of his career where something's not as it was before, and I don't know what it is because I've not seen enough of him. But when you look at his stats, and for Bolton, he scored 45 goals in 122 appearances. What's that? One in three-ish?
Yeah.
And for us, he's got no goal in 18, according to Wikipedia. I think it's a few more than that now. I don't think that includes them all. I just don't understand how he could have ever scored that many goals. I just don't.
But he's a
don't
Bolton
see it.
lad, though, isn't he? So it's like our
Yeah.
Jordan Rhodes.
But
So
it's just, again, like
you know
Sam
what,
with you, Steve, though, it
I
just
think
doesn't.
it's
It
just
just
a bad
doesn't.
sign, and just yeah, just do
just
what
don't
we've
look
done
like
with Chris Packett. Forget about him.
Just don't look like a good fit, unfortunately.
They
for
don't.
Dion.
No, yeah, it's just done. It's just we've got Alfie May now. Sorry, it sounds horrible that, but we
you're
have.
right, Killer. You're right in that Taylor looks like he's almost going down the same route. He had that chance that Miller created for him at Reading, where it comes to him almost penalty spot. It is a bit stuck in his feet, so he does have to kind of readjust a little bit. But it's straight at Pereira, you know, and I mean, I'm using one of our best recent strikers, you know, but Rhodes would have buried that. He'd have buried it with both feet. You know, he wouldn't have even given it a second thought. Whereas we just probably May would have buried it, but he just looks like he's overcompensating as well a little bit. You know, he's giving it big boy attitude to everybody, and it feels it's almost a bit bravado. And actually, he'll settle down once he starts scoring week in, week out, hopefully.
I'll just jump in there, Tris, but I'd rather have that from Taylor. With Dion, I just don't feel it. I just don't get it. But with with Taylor, you get that knit and grit. He's rubbing defenders up the wrong way. He's like there were a free kick given really late on last night, and then the Sky camera cut to it, and Taylor were in the guy's face and giving him grief and stuff. So I would rather have Taylor than Dion at the moment, even though they're both on a similar no goal scoring streak. But I would play Taylor over Charles, in my opinion.
Yeah, someone asked a question on X about Dion, so we'll kind of come back to that. But yeah, I'll say my thoughts on it. But we get that. Look, Vost equalises. We then concede again. Few Harry winks. Bit too much space for my liking, but look, it's a good finish. He's a good player. He's going to score from that position. But let's not dwell on that. Cam's Ashia. If it's the Cam's Ashia who's just put a heart on there, you've joined us at the right time because we're going to be discussing this incredible goal next. So, I mean, what? It must be on cloud nine, lads, because he picks a ball up wide, runs down, and Chowdhury. Now I've noticed that Rowan makes a late run in support down that side, and it just drags Chowdhury out slightly and just gives him a bit more time just to shape up, cut in, bit Karoma-esque cut in, and just curl a beautiful shot into far corner. I mean, again, what a finish that is. That's outstanding, and you know, for a young player like that, to not only to get that first goal against Reading, which was a beautifully composed finish, but then to do it again the next game against top quality Championship opposition. I mean, what a brilliant moment for him. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, does it? Don't get any better.
I think he surprised himself a little bit, didn't he? He kind of goes off and celebrates, giving it kind of palms up sort of thing, and you know, I quite like the humbleness around him. You know, he's quite unassuming, and he kind of he fits this kind of style of football a little bit. I think as you noted as well, Nick, you know, we've got to give a nod to Rowan. I think last night it was brilliant. The the first penalty shout that went over the top, the second, the one that was actually given, were all balls by Rowan, you know, straight over the top. And then the you know, the second goal was his kind of movement down the wing as well. You know, so for a lad who kind of started the first game, went off injured, we thought it might be a bad knock, and he's come back in and he's got back in. You know, that I think that shows kind of what they're about and what these type of players are about. But yeah, Cam, he just, I think it's just important to keep trying to give him bits of minutes here and there. You know, I don't think we can quite jump on the kind of train of he needs to start week in, week out. You know, just keep bringing him into games and giving him that time. And, you know, if that's the contribution that he gives this season, and you know, fantastic, because there's two great bits of contribution out there.
He was fantastic. I love him. And Andy, to be fair, when we were up at Emily watching his pre-season, Ashia played more than anybody else, I think, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Mm.
And he looked like he belonged in the first team. To be blunt, straight away, he looked like he belonged with the proper first team squad. He played in the final third with the under-21, where we got battered by a really not great Emily team, to be honest. But we got a bit of a lesson there. Whereas Ashia stood out, he was a leader who was trying to drag him to whatever he could. It didn't quite work, but you could see that he's a bloke. And not all 18-year-olds, when they come through into first-team level, look like blokes. But he plays like a bloke. He plays like he's got 200 appearances under his belt. He don't play like he's raw. He don't play like this is his first moment. Yeah. He's had 2 chances in 2 games, and he's put them both away. That's clinical. And we've had great players come through before, or players that were supposed to be great. Diarra. We had Scott High. I know Josh Osterfield was supposed to be something really, really good. Etienne Kamara we had. That didn't quite work. I know he's went for a couple of million to Udinese and whatnot, but it's not quite working out, right? But all these guys came through, and technically they look fantastic. They passed the ball well, but they didn't create those moments. They didn't create those goals. They didn't do the thing that matters the most, where, honestly, you can look at academies throughout England, you'll see players that can pass the ball perfectly. You'll see a drill in training, they'll ping it into the top corner every time. You get him on a game against blokes that are professionals, that they can't do it. It just disappears. It takes something else. And honestly, you've got to work your hardest just to get a chance of playing in the professional level, right? But when you get there, you have to do something to earn the spot and to keep it. You might get 5-10 sub-appearances, and if not really happens, then you go out on loan to a team a few divisions below, and it kind of gets worse and worse and worse if it doesn't work out. Ashia has played 2 games for us properly in the first team and scored 2 goals. He will be a part of this first team squad for me for the rest of this season on the back of that alone. Because when you've got a guy that in a very short period of time against 2 teams that are really good, like Reading last year, I know they're not quite the same without the midfield that they had. But again, most people expect them to do okay this year. He's gone there, scored a goal with his 1 chance. He had a sniff of a goal, put it away. Against a Leicester team that, looking at individuals, there were a couple of 16, 17, 18-year-old playing throughout the team, but it was a strong team. Ashia didn't look out of place one bit. And when you get another chance, like you say, cutting, Rowan did a lot of that work down the left-hand side. He just dragged Chowdhury away. But Ashia's got a lot to do. But he's done it calmly. The first ball, when he gets the ball, he does a fancy little back heel to turn the ball back towards goal and set off on his way. You find me another 18-year-old that does that. You won't. Not for Town, who then can kind of drive it forward and not rush it. He's so calm and slow and confident, but then decisive when it comes to making that final decision to either shoot or pass. I think he's class. I don't think he's going to be, like you say, 46 games starter this year. That's not where he's at just yet. But I'd be very surprised if he's not on the bench when fit at least. And to me, if you're looking at next man up for this weekend against Blackpool, he won't start, but he's getting close to asking for a shirt for me, because when you score more goals than the strikers in the team, which he has done, he's our top goal scorer, isn't he now then? How can you not play him? He's going to have, I was speaking, me and Matt did the extra time episode last night on Patreon. You can tell looking at him already, he will be a professional footballer. He will have a professional footballing career. Whether it's going to be with us or if he goes up or down, who knows yet? But when you look at him play, you know he's not just going to drop out of the leagues, albeit something awful happening injury-wise and whatnot. The Cam Ashia as we have today has everything about him to have a long career in professional football. And you can't say that about many people at teams like Town when they've played 2 proper games in the first team. It's really, really impressive. And I can't speak highly enough of him.
Like I like what you say there, Killer, around kind of him looking like a bloke, because him and Jay Sway, I think there's probably Cam might be 19 later this year, but effectively they're the same age at this minute in time, and you can really see the difference between the two of them. Jay looks like a young lad, and he has a bit of kind of gangliness about him, whereas Cam just looks stocky. Quite as you say, it looks like he's played 100, 200 games already, doesn't he? Whereas Jay does have that bit of rawness about him. Absolutely no criticism of him, because I thought he came on and did really well last night. But interestingly, Sway's from an Everton academy, and Cam's from a Derby academy, I think. So quite interesting that you've got 2 lads, one that is in theory from a better academy, and actually, Cam looks like he's more ready to start and ready to go. And yeah, I think we've got a bit of a rough in the diamond there, a diamond in the rough there.
Look, let's not put too much pressure on the lad either. Let's not start saying he's going to be starting every game and he's going to be the next Ronaldo or anything like that. We like to big our young players up, which is great, but I think let's just, and as you're saying, if he comes off bench, what a great option to have there. Someone who can just add that bit extra with 20, 30 minutes to go. It's a brilliant option. And there's another question coming up later about, do we need any more signings with the injuries? But to have a player like that who we didn't expect is a massive boost for us, isn't it? To have that as an option. I just think the best young players... Yeah.
Last thing you want as a tired defender to have this 18-year-old brick shithouse come on the pitch who's got pace and drive and energy. You'd be like, Jesus Christ, I can't be arsed with this. So yeah, it's a nightmare. And so I liked Jay Sway last night. And there was a bit towards the end. He was trying to do like some real fancy turn that's probably got a name on the edge of the box while surrounded by about 3 Leicester players. And he ended up losing it, but it would have been a brilliant bit of skill. But I loved that he tried it. It would have been very easy for him to play it safe and not try and play his natural game. So I love the fact that he's, I don't know whether he's been given permission to do that or told to do that. But he tried to play the way that he wants to play football. And I think, having seen him in Austria, in the game against Greuther Fürth, he really has got some skill about him and some paces. Way. So I'm excited for him as well. I think he was lucky to stay on. I think he got booked towards the back end when Chowdhury gave him a bit of grief, didn't he? And Taylor stepped in. That was a shocking tackle. So I think I wouldn't have argued if he'd have got a red for that. But thankfully, the referee carried on being shit and not giving the right decision. So at least he was consistent. But yeah, I think Ashia is obviously the star of the moment, but Jay Sway's got some as well. Whether or not he goes on to have the impact that Cam's had, I don't know. But yeah, I've got high hopes for both of them. And to argue, do we need to sign anything else? At some point, I think Town have got to give young kids an opportunity. So like my lad Tommy Pender's obviously out on loan at Notts County. He wasn't. He got injured last year, didn't he, towards the back end? But you didn't feel like Duff was ever going to give the kids a chance. He had to completely trust them to give any sort of minutes in the first team. I think Lee Grant is willing to take the risk, maybe because he's got a higher quality team around him that can maybe accommodate that 10 or 15 minutes that helps the young player develop. So whether or not I'd be a little bit disappointed if we went for something in their positions, because I think it's sending a not great message to the rest of the junior players. And I know he mentioned a few of them in his post-match interview at Reading. He talked about George Pender, Tom's brother, as well as the Sways and the Ashias. That these lads are earning a shirt, so why not give them a go? While we've got a strong team and a strong squad around them, I think we should be looking to give them, one of our own, for want of a better phrase, the chance to come through and have the impact that Ashia's had. So, more power to all of them.
Great point, that, Andy.
I think you're right, Andy. It's easier when you've got better players and a winning team to start bedding youngsters in.
Oh, much easier.
Whereas last season, second half of last season, it was toxic, wasn't it? You know, you talk about Sway trying to do it, but he feels comfortable to do those skills because he knows the crowd ain't going to be on his back if he
in a
loses
winning
ball.
team.
Yeah.
Well, it's like what Killer said, that team away at Doncaster last year was absolutely lambs to the slaughter. And it's no wonder we lost there because there wasn't that strength around the young kids that were given a chance. I mean, what was his name? That looks like Peter Thomas. Did he play? I think he played. I remember Tom started in midfield, didn't he? And there were 3 or 4 others that you'd think they were really thrown into a man's game, but while still relatively young boys. And I think we've got an opportunity to start developing. I mean, the model is to get players, develop them, sell them on, and then reinvest. So you've got a couple there where you could potentially do that, but you can only do that. They don't get any better by sitting on the bench. They've got to have the chance to play grown-up football, men's football, to be able to develop. But if you don't take the risk, then you'll never know, and they'll just they'll go somewhere else and potentially have a successful time. But I think it's good that he's willing to do that for them.
That was my only disappointment at the end of last season when Worthy got them 8 games with it or whatever. He didn't throw kids in. But then again, like you've just said, it were all downhill, wasn't it? They were threw them in, it was like lambs to slaughter, I suppose. I can see your point now there. Yeah. But we've got to give him a chance. There's a load of talent there. There's 2, like you've just said, that have come from nowhere, haven't they?
I like Terry Jacket comments. Eccleston seems to have disappeared. Yeah, he does. But he's another one that he ain't going to get any better by not playing. No. Why we've kept him and not sent him out, I genuinely don't know. In the last year of his contract, or have we extended his contract? And you see him around the squad, but he's never stripped for action. So whether he's got an injury or whether Gooch coming in has sort of kiboshed his opportunities, I don't know. But for me, you've got shit. I'll get off the pot with him. It's either we keep him and we play him, or we give him the chance to develop somewhere else and bring him back. I couldn't understand why he came back from Barra. You know, he seemed to be doing all right there. And he came back and didn't do much for us. But if you've got to develop players, they've got to play. They can't just sit in the reserves, and because that's no development really after a certain age. And Eccleston in particular is what is he, 21, 22? So it's pretty much it's a key time for him now to either kick on and get that opportunity or find somewhere else to go and do it.
Castledine as well. We hadn't talked about, but I thought he did all right when he came on. I tell you what, he played a great ball across the box with the outside of his boot that unfortunately Taylor doesn't gamble.
Nobody gambled.
What a ball that is. And he were begging for someone to go in with an header there. I mean, if that's what we're going to get rest of the season, I can't wait to see more of him.
Some lovely touches, didn't there?
I think there's something important to point out here with all the signings Town have made and a lack of effort to go and get wide, out-and-out wingers. In that, I think with the profile of strikers that we're left with, which are small lads that are fast on the break, we're not looking at playing wingers at all. And the 3 guys behind the striker will end up being all centre midfielders or attacking centre midfielders and 10s. That's what it looks like. Castledine looks like that to me. He doesn't look like a winger at all. He's a ball player, a footballer, a proper
Number
footballer.
10.
That's it. And I think with what we've got up top, there's no point smashing down wing, crossing it and heading it, because no one's going to be able to do that. Looking at look at the units in League One that you're up against at centre back. He's Alpha May will win a few headers, of course he will, but not from getting to the byline and then crossing back. He'll get onto the quick crosses that come from the halfway line if you're on the counter, that kind of thing. Maybe not quite the halfway line. That's a bit over the top. But you know what I mean? Like those quick crosses where people aren't set. When people are set at centre back, our centre forwards aren't big enough to get those headers, and I think that's why we don't particularly need out-and-out wingers, because I think if you're looking at the question that we have later on, a lot of people want extra winners to come in. I'm not expecting it. I think you're looking at your Castledines, your Harness, who's not really an out-and-out winger, is he? He's an inside forward. And I think that's what Castledine offers us on the other side. But no, there was a ball from Rowan, I think, that went to Castledine initially, wasn't it? And then Castledine's used his outside of his foot to put it back across. But look, if you're getting anyone on loan from Chelsea, you know technically they're going to be pretty good. That's what we get every time somebody comes from there. But he looks like he could be an asset going forward. It is just a bit different in a cup game when it's not as cutthroat as it is in a league game. But it was nice to see him. I just don't know whether either Maguire's gone. He seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth. Although he's back on the grass. The grass.
Back on the grass.
Maybe
Back
he's
on
On the
he's-
grass.
Well, he hasn't been injured though, has he? He hasn't been injured, or has he just not?
Yeah,
trained
no.
properly,
He
or is that
said
what-
he said today that
Didn't do
he came back.
pre-season.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a groin issue and he was behind everybody else in the games pre-season. But I think he's a shout for Sunderland on the Tuesday, 2 weeks, 10 days or
26th,
so.
innit?
Yeah. And Castledine stepped up for a pen as well, which, as a youngster coming into a new club to step up, take a pen, it's not bad, is it? It's good mentality.
Quality pen as well. Quality pen.
Yeah.
Best of our pens, I think, Andy.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking at pens, right, it pisses me off because that first penalty, the bloke, I'm sick of these where you walk up, take a step, it's a shuffle, fucking Strictly Come Dancing. Penalty where he's like, and then penalty shite it straight at keeper. How many of them why do they do that? Why don't they just run up and twat it as hard as they can into either side?
Northern football.
Why?
Twat.
Yeah, but
Honestly, have you ever taken? Honestly, if you've ever taken a penalty under any sort of pressure, you shit yourself. It don't matter if you're playing for England or if you're playing for Kirkburton under 10s because you're 9 at that point, and it's a friendly game in a tournament that it's to finish between 7th and 8th, and you're still taking the sudden death penalty
Pressure.
and you're shitting yourself. Honestly, I hate it. I hate it. When people used to give Jordan Rhodes nonsense for not taking a penalty, which one was it when he didn't take a penalty? Anyway, whichever one it was. I couldn't do it. I played as a striker. I played as a striker as a kid and as in academies, right? I'm a shithouse. I wouldn't have taken a penalty. No way, Nick. If I could have at that point done a little slow jog, it's just like biding time. It's like waiting for the last minute before you do your homework, innit? It's like just waiting. I don't know what to do. And then you get close to boys.
Please dive.
Shit, I'm just going to have to go. And I think, honestly, that's how I'd have taken it as well, Nick. So I feel a bit defensive when it comes to anti-woke penalties because I think I'd have had to have done the same thing and I'd have also missed him.
I think if you're nervous, though, you just smash it because no one's going to have a go at you. If you smash it and keeper saves it, or if it got, at least you've got power behind it. But there was no power behind it whatsoever. So if the keeper gets it even remotely the right way, it's over, isn't it? And Taylor did the same thing. You watched him do it, and then Taylor does pretty much exactly the same thing, and wonders why he saved it. Just smash it.
There's a bloke on Twitter. Go and have a look at him. He's called Gear Jordy, and he talks about the psychology of penalties, and I'm with Killer here, right? We've got to the point where, even last night, Lee Nichols is stood, and everyone's saying, "Oh, he's shithousing." He ain't. He's trying to read the lad's shorts so he can look on his list as to who's rocking up to take a penalty, so that he knows which direction he's going.
A water bottle.
Yeah, and the reason why these lads, and he talks about there's two type of penalty takers. There's the one that's decided before he walks up, and there's the one that watches the goalkeeper. And he talks about how I can't remember who the other example was, but Harry Kane has now basically flipped between the two. So he'll either watch the goalkeeper or he's made the decision, and he mixes it up to try and break that kind of psychology of, oh, I know which way he's going. So, but then I suppose with Jordan Ayew, when you are taking a penalty where you're watching the goalkeeper, if you mess it up, you look like a right dick.
Well, that's what I mean. Under that pressure, and I mean the thing is, Harry Kane's good, isn't he? So he can still get the power behind it, even though he's right up to the ball. He can still get good power behind the shot. Whereas at this level, you're losing all that time that you're getting nearer and nearer the ball. You're losing that momentum. You're losing that power that you can get behind it. So unless you place it perfect, or the keeper decides to dive, which they're wise to all this now, very rarely do they actually go early. You're just going to look like a dick, aren't you?
Did you see Nichols' little helper that he had with him? His water bottle guardian. So that's Lee Grant's planning. So he sent this little ball boy over to hold Lee Nichols' water bottle and hide it under the towel.
Under the towel,
and Nichols would go back and they'd have a little chat because Nichols gave him the old dap at the end and a thank you.
He asked him to do it right at the start. He says,
"Did he? Right, okay."
He throws it over like on the floor, and then he looks and he sees this kid and he's like, look after that, don't let him see that. Yeah.
A water bottle guardian. There's a job for you. We don't need ball boys, we need water bottle guardian. Love it.
But penalties have become such a weird thing, haven't they now? You know, the goalkeepers, Nichols, saves the first one. It goes off towards the Kilner bank. Nichols walks off towards the riverside, and then all of a sudden thinks, "Oh, I need to get ball." So he legs it across the pitch. The referee's kind of like, "What are you doing?" He's gone to fetch ball. Nichols has gone to pick ball up and walks it to Joe Taylor. All this psychology type stuff, you know, and it's a whole thing in itself now, isn't it? It's bonkers.
I think we overcomplicate stuff. Just go and hit it. Do you know what I mean? You just got to get it in goal. Just go and hit it. It's simple as that. And if keeper guesses right and gets it fair enough, I mean, you say what you like about Charles's penalty, but he had power behind it. Because he had power behind it, keeper parried it, and Vost heads it in. If he does that little steps up and then just keeper claims it, and no one without scoring out away. So I don't know. But look, Nichols, I'm pleased for him because I could be wrong here, so you can shoot me down. But was the last time he saved a penalty in the League Cup in the season we went to that playoff final all them years ago? He doesn't save
Wednesday,
many, does he?
Against Sheffield Wednesday, yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
So.
He doesn't save many, so. And it was great, wasn't it, at the end, getting all crowded around him celebrating.
He played well last night, didn't he?
Yeah, but it's not. But
didn't have a lot to do, but he didn't do all wrong.
He's been dropped from next to nowhere. His distribution is all right. Goodman, I think, looks like he might be the better keeper, but there's not much in it. I feel for Nichols. Yesterday, they celebrated with him as if he's an 18-year-old lad and it's his first ever game for Town. He's done a miracle and saved some penalties. I just felt like it was just a bit weird afterwards. I don't know what I don't know why I feel
he
sorry
made a
for him.
great save in second half when he parried one, didn't he? I thought he played well, Nichols.
Did you see the pre-match conference when they had him in 1908 club?
Yeah.
I just felt sorry for him. You can see it's just a guy that I'm not saying he's not going to help the team, not that, but he's lost his number one shirt. And realistically, I think if he goes anywhere else in this division, he starts. Tickle at Wigan's actually pretty good, but anywhere else, he'd probably be starting a bit main keeper. Of course, he's a great keeper. His penalty stopping's probably as good as we've ever had as a keeper. He's like I say, so learned with it all. I just felt a little bit sorry for him afterwards because I'm thinking he should still be playing somewhere. He shouldn't be here just as like a bit part and a bit of a side. He's too good to be subbing for us, I think, Lee Nichols. And I know Chapman's out obviously for a few months, so maybe that's half the reason he's going to be still here. I think he's been so good for us for so long that he deserves to start somewhere. And I just don't like seeing him on the bench. I know it's a bit weird, and I might be the only person in here, but that thinks that. But I feel bringing in Goodman when we've got Nichols, unless Nichols was going to be leaving at some point, was pretty, not poor because it's the nature of football, but I just felt sorry for him somewhat, especially when he puts in a performance like he did yesterday.
But he's showing he's a great character, though, isn't he? Because he's saying all the right things. He's coming out on social media. He's backing Goodman. There's that little goalkeeper click. And he's good for the club. So if he's happy being a number 2 for now and taking his chances in Cup, we've got that Paint Trophy Cup or whatever it's called these days. Look, you just keep him. I'd rather have Nichols as number 2 than Chapman.
You need it. You need that experience. And if all does happen to Goodman, obviously straight back in it. And if we do get promoted, Goodman's not going to be here. You know, we might not be able to get him back. So he might well be in if we go up and back of the Championship. Nichols might be in again for us. So you don't know in football, do you?
Sorry, Nick. I have to slightly disagree there. If we're going to play the type of football that we're going to play, Lee Nichols can't be number 1. No way.
Do you mean that in terms of his like distribution out from the back?
Well, yeah, and like last night where he got charged down,
speed,
and the first time he got charged down from there on in, he just banged it upfield, you know, and we're going back to the back end of last season there, you know, where we kept banging the ball long from Nichols and winning nothing, you know, and that's where then the ball just keeps going back and back and back. So I think if we were put in a position long term where Goodman was out and Chapman wasn't available, you know, I'd be looking for a loan again.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't mind. I think as long as he's happy, I'm more than happy with the set we've got at the moment. I think for League One, I don't think you'll get a better 2 keepers there as options. I'll be very surprised. But right, lads, come on, let's get on. Blackpool. So, nice little trip to the seaside. Get the ice cream, have a little donkey ride, get a sticker rock, and go on some other rides, and then go down and watch us lose. So, what do we think though? Because look, this is classic Towner, isn't it? Like Blackpool's lost every game so far. Got a good defence, like Casey and is it Heke or what? I can't pronounce it, but Yekwe, I think. But the keeper they have, is it Peacock Farrell, has been abysmal. Now I don't know if he's going to start or if he's going to be dropped. But I tell you what, this historically is a classic game that Town would lose in it. We've got all the momentum, 3 great results. Blackpool, they haven't won a game yet. Go away, lose 1-0. But come on, lads, surely we've got to be confident going into this, haven't we? Even though it's Steve Bruce, even though they're probably going to be organised, they're not going to want to lose again. But surely we've got to go there full of confidence and get the 3 points if we want to be right up there. Surely.
Andy's most positive as us all. Andy, where are you at with this one? You are happily known as the new happy clapper. Tristan was there for a couple of years, potentially, but Andy, you're definitely now.
New. 55 years a Town fan. I have been a new happy clapper. I've been a happy clapper for 55 years, and I've never seen the likes of Lee Grant. So there you go. He's the next coming of Herbert Chapman and Cecil Potter. How do I feel? Same as everybody else. It's an absolutely huge banana skin. It's classic. We were doing pretty well. We went there last year, and we were 2-0 down after about 20 minutes. At rest at away ends getting grumpy until we had that fantastic comeback from Brodie Spencer and I can't remember who else scored. Taylor, wasn't it? Taylor's debut when he scored it. And we all thought, oh, he's a great player. And he's not hit them ice since. So
that's all we've seen.
I'm looking forward to my ice cream and I'm looking forward to me go on Donkey Derby on Pleasure Beach. But in terms of what's going to happen,
Coral Island.
It's Coral Island.
Coral Island.
It's nailed on that we will mess it up because this is Town. So that's how my logically you've got to look at it and compare the 2 records so far. Yeah, the fact that it's away from home, but backed by a very vocal away end because when we were there last time, it was a 12:30 kickoff. I think there'll be a bit more lubrication knocking around for the Town fans, so they'll be a bit livelier, I think. And if we get off to a good start and control the game, then I'd think the first 20 minutes are going to be vital. But the head says Town win, the heart says we know what Town are like, and something will go wrong. There'll be a stray pigeon that will nod one in, or seagull that will nod one in that back post for them, and it'll be play on referee or something like that will happen. No, so I've got no faith at all. But then that's part of being a Town fan, isn't it? I've never go to a game convinced we're going to win because you know that only ends up one way. So my heart says it'll be a best to draw. My head says logically we should win.
No. This is shit house. You can't do this. You can't do this, Andy. What? This is double bagging. Double bagging. You can't do that. You can't go with 2 predictions.
3-0 win.
Are we going, Andy? Are we going to win? Or are we going to draw?
We're going to draw. 1-0. Jolo, the big lad, will notch again because they won't be able to contain him from a set piece. There's a forecast for you.
Yeah, I'll leave.
Any more predictions, guys? Come on.
Yeah, well, I'm with Matt on afterwards. We've got the Blackpool drive-in to do. But I will just say, so far for the 3 games, I went 3-0 against 3-1 against Leyton Orient because I thought Koroma would score. So I missed out that on 1. I got the score right against Reading last week with a 2-0 Town win. And I also got the 2-2 draw yesterday. So,
Panelist speaks through.
Yeah. Are you sure you got?
Are you editing these? Are you doing it after and then pasting
say,
it back in there?
Yeah.
But no, it's been a bit of a decent run for myself. So for Blackpool though, the problem I have about this, and I don't want to go into too much now because again I'm doing it afterwards. But the worst person we could face at this point of the season with a team that have lost a few games is Bruce, because other managers elsewhere have one system. And for at least August, most of September, they stick with it and they're like, oh, we'll get there eventually. We'll get there eventually. Steve Bruce is a pragmatic manager in that if it's not working, he'll try something new. He's already changed system, started 3-4-3. They went 4-4-2 this week against Port Vale in the Cup on, last night or Tuesday. I can't remember which night they played. Already he's changing his system. So although the results say Blackpool are awful and the forums say Blackpool are awful, this is Steve Bruce. The Blackpool we face on Saturday will be very different to the Blackpool that's gone out in the 3 games prior. So it's I don't know. It's a tough one, this. So I've got to think on about it a little bit more before I go out. But I actually think we're much better than anybody else in this division at this point in the season. And anything less than a Town win would be very, very disappointing. And that's irrelevant of who we're playing, but especially Blackpool.
Hang on, I gave you
Double
2
bag
bloody predictions,
there, right?
and you've given us none. Yeah, hang on a minute.
No, you've already done it. Andy, you've just done 2,
none.
so I'll go 0. That's 5 across the board. We're fine.
He's saving it for his proper podcast.
For his Patreon, you're going to pay money to Killer's views so you can get your bets on. Yeah.
Well, Nick, I'm a glass half full this season, and I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Town.
Nice.
I would take a point because I agree with Killer and Andy there big time. I think it's Steve Bruce, the back-to-back defeats, they're riled up. We don't like Blackpool anyway, do we? We never get a decent allocation. It's going to be August, first time, bit of sunshine. I'm going with family. Can't wait. Fish and chips. I'm eating Coral Island, Andy, for a Donkey Derby roll.
A Donkey Derby roll,
Yeah,
get it in
for a
there.
roll. Yeah, nick a ball from next one so you can send 3 up. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Tactics.
Yeah, all right. You've got to play the game, haven't you? If there's nobody sat next to you, you take an extra ball.
Yeah, too right.
I'm not having that either. Absolute shit house there, Steve. I
Of
were at
course, you've
Coral
got
Island.
this shit house. You stompy guy, aren't you?
Big Blue Hotel, a full day
If the
at Pleasure
guy's not
Beach.
watching, you've just got to go.
No,
Yeah.
I'm disgusted and appalled. You should be ashamed.
I thought you would have
I know.
got
Yeah,
a
it's
win.
all about up here.
You've got to do to win
Play the
at Donkey
advantage,
Derby.
innit? Of course you have, yeah.
Important.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great day out. Sunshine will be out, and we'll probably, it's typical Town, it will lose 1-0. But, like I've said, the glass is half full at the moment. I think we're riding a high. That cup win yesterday were a boost, because I wasn't really bothered about Mickey Mouse Cup, if truth be told. So, yeah, I think we're going to go there. Be a steady first half again. Might be 1 apiece, something like that, and then I think we'll nick it. 2-1
Chris,
Town.
what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think probably quite similarly to what we've said to some extent. You know, I watched kind of bits of their game against Exeter, and at the back I thought they looked appalling, to be quite honest with you. There was a lot of balls in behind the full-backs, so, you know, based on last night, I'd hope that we could get in behind there, and defensively from corners they look a mess as well. Which obviously, as Andy's just said, you know, hopefully Lowe or Watmore or, you know, someone like that can get on the end of one. But yeah, I think I'd take a draw at this point. I think Bruce is a bit of a wily old fox, and he's done us a few times in the last couple of years. So I'd take a draw at this point. But if we can sneak a win, then, you know, absolutely, it bodes well, doesn't it?
Thought we
Do
were
you
going to
know
get Wily Coyote then. They're like Wily Old Fox. Wily Coyote's back in town.
Do you know what? Every
Sorry,
historical
Nick.
experience for me tells me that we're going to lose this game 1-0. But, you know, I would have predicted a defeat last season, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be positive because we started so well. I think we've got to. I'm gonna say 3-1 Town. I think Joe Taylor
3-1.
will score.
Ooh.
I think we will concede, but I just think we'll have too much for him. I think Alfie May's got a bit. Alfie May's got to start centrally. For me, he offers too much. He's too much of a threat to shove out wide. But the final boss of League One has to.
Are we going to see you
has
run
to
down the
start
front?
centrally.
Are we going to see you run down the front in a mankini again, Nick?
You're not, mate. I will be in Croatia. So
wow.
I will not, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd have been down there watching. I'd have been on the pleasure beach on the rides. Last time we were in Blackpool, I ended up in an Irish bar on the front at 12 at night doing Booker bombs and Skittle bombs. So I'd be probably end up doing that again, celebrating the victory. But Nah, I think. I mean, what do you guys think that's listening? I just think we've got to keep this momentum going. It's about professionalism. Get the job done. Move on to the next one. No games are easy. No games are easy.
They're all going for wins, aren't they? In comments, Keith Robinson
Jed
3-1,
2-1,
Joe
Keith,
2-1, Jed 2-1, 3-1.
Alfie May with a winner.
Alfie May will dine out, according to our Antipodean correspondent, Mr. Robinson. So look forward to you watching that at the dead of night in Sydney. Let's hope he chows down.
Just seen flash up there, Ledson, whoever said it. We hadn't talked about him tonight, and I will absolutely tip my hat to that lad. Nobody says what he does. I know, like, Killer loves Wilesy, and he does a load of stuff that we don't see that aren't a fan. But Ledson, what a signing he is. You never hear his name mentioned, and he just does a job, doesn't he? He's like Hog's passion or whatever, but he can play football. I know that sounds so bad against Hog, but the lad just lays it off, picks a pass. He has been fantastic these last 2 games. So I'd just like to say, I think Ledson's a great signing. Is it up?
He came over to away end at Reading on Saturday. He gave us the full come on Saturday before we kicked off. And Jesus Christ, I tell you, if he said to me jump, I'd ask him how high. I won't mess with that lad. He absolutely. He's got
speaks about him.
He's got something. Yeah,
we've done an hour and not said out. Apart from when it's just like, honestly, Ledson. I think he's our star signing. He's unbelievable. Great player.
Terry Jacks is 4-0.
Hang on.
Here we go. Wilesy, come on.
Start having a cheap shot at Wilesy in there, Steve. No, Ledson's been fantastic. Ledson was always going to be a fantastic player for us. Hogg is. I don't like saying legs.
Sounds horrible,
doesn't it? Yeah, but Hogg wasn't the Hogg of the Premier League years last year.
No.
It was far from it.
Yeah.
Ledson is a fantastic player and was good in the Championship. The problem with Ledson is that he's injury prone somewhat, and to get 46 games
Don't
out.
say that. We're Town.
He's gonna. Well, we injure. Look at Rowan.
Miller's gone
played
again.
every game.
Yeah,
And to be fair,
don't
he's something at Lincoln though, Steve, because Paddy O'Connor basically played every minute of every game last year as well. He's gone to Reading and not played for them yet either. So something happens in Lincoln that keeps everybody fit. Maybe we need all our players to live there and travel here just for the games. Maybe that'll sort it out. But no, Ledson, what's happened though, and our midfield's so much better. And I went on about this so many times last year with all of us here. In that we played 1 defensive midfielder and 2 attacking midfielders, and it's hard to win a midfield battle when that's the case because your 2 attacking midfielders are lazy off the ball. When you go with 2 deep playmaking midfielders, and I have to say, Ledson's been great, but Herbie Kane's been the better of the 2 for me.
He slotted him well on it.
Because he wins. He just wins everything. He doesn't play the ball as nicely. Well, he does, but not as better when he's up the field.
Pass.
He's just he can hit the pass, but the pair of them's really, really well balanced. And I actually think if you're looking at who's the most important for our entire team and success of this season going forward, Alfie May is the guy. But the thing after that is Herbie Kane and Ledson playing.
I'll agree with you on that.
Game out. With Wiles in front of them at the moment, we've not seen McGuane or everybody else. Maybe there's another option in there, but that 3 midfield. Well, last year when Kane, Kasumu, and Wiles played, did we win 10 of 11? Something ridiculous. Like the statistics were ridiculous. The same thing can happen now, but Ledson's such a big upgrade, even over Kasumu.
Oh, massive!
I don't think if you have those 3 playing in the midfield for 46 games this year, there's any way we wouldn't finish in the top 2. The problem is, will we get them playing? Probably not, because Kane and Ledson issues.
Finishing in top 2 if them 3 stick together. But yeah, I think he's dived. He were horrendous last night. He were way off the pace. Do you think he spat his dummy out because he's not number 1 now? Honestly, I think he were really poor last night. Not the same cast that carried us last year.
I don't know. I mean, he's another one that gets as a run and then gets injured, and then struggles a bit, then picks up, then gets injured again. And with a few players like that, I mean, Miller's another one. Unfortunately, goes off again, doesn't he? And we have too many players like this, and Miller's really important for us as well. Last season, it killed our season when he went, didn't it? Now let's hope that it doesn't this time. We've got a bit better squad, but I don't know with Cass. I thought he might have moved on, but we need options. So for that reason, I can imagine he probably will stay. But yeah, I think you keep those three in midfield. That's a I would say a top 4 at least midfield. But it's just keeping them together, innit?
I think
Keith Robinson
I think
says
we
last
could-
time he went to Blackpool, he woke up on the beach at 3 a.m. I hope we have similar celebrations on Saturday, mate. That'll be it's good going. That it's brilliant. Look, we're an hour and a half deep into this, so I wouldn't be any kind of host if I didn't quickly move us on to the last section, which is the questions. We had some questions on X, and we've brushed over these anyway, so we'll just very quickly do them. But HTFC 86 talks about old Dion, poor old Dion. He says, has his time at Town come to an end? Steve Shepherd's a big fan. He says no, he wants to keep Charles.
Yeah,
but,
keep him.
I feel sorry for him a bit because I wouldn't mind if he didn't give a toss, if he were just strolling about. But to me, I know what you're saying about his position interests and what have you. To me, he's very, very good at holding the ball up, bringing people into play. I think there is a role for him. If we're trying to hang on, say, and we're struggling a bit at one of the top sides, 1-0 up, he's the sort of player you want to come on to draw fouls higher up the pitch, to try and just make the ball stick a bit. And I like his work rate. I just think he's lacking confidence, and I think he's trying a bit too hard. I hope he gets a goal. Maybe it'll change. Steve's written him off. What do you think, guys? What do you guys think who are listening as well? I don't know. I don't like just writing a player off, but I mean, Bojan, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's sweeping up somewhere it stands. I don't know what's happened to him, but I think Dion's got a part to play still.
Yeah, I agree. Radalovic is doing. I think I saw something about him going to Germany, but it'll have to be German Sunday League because I don't think any professional team will take him. But yeah, I'd seen that on the Twitter. Well, you know my view on him. Although I did think he was the second coming of Christ after he scored in that friendly game. But I had 6 pints by the time that he scored, so there's no wonder
Only
that I thought
6?
he was brilliant. I'm not very good at drinking, mate. I'll be quite honest. It killed me for the rest of the trip to be on a 6 pint. But, yeah.
I need 12 to watch him.
Yeah, and then we had Harry Mosley and Terry and Nigel with similar questions, really, with the injury to Miller and Arnis. Do we need another player coming in on the wings, which we kind of already discussed, or they're saying, could Ashia step up and be that player to come on and fill that gap? And I think potentially they could. I think you do need a route in for the youngsters. And we have options there with Castledine as well. He can play in that role. Like you said, Ian, I don't know if we need proper out-and-out wingers in this system, but it'll be interesting to see what some of the listeners think.
I think
James
I would.
Yeah?
I think I'd
Would you bring one in, mate? Would you bring another in?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just another natural left footer.
Yeah.
Have we still got a Premier League? Sorry, not a Premier. Hoping for a Premier League. Have we still got a loan space left? I'd prefer another one because, like you've said, Miller. I mean, even if we get him back before Christmas, chances are he's going to get injured again.
Yeah.
I'd like Ruskin. I think there's a lot of pressure there on him. I think he's really raw, really good player, like I've discussed earlier. But then to turn around and say, well, Miller's not only going to play 10 games. You've got to play the other 36. It's a lot on him. I'd bring in another left footer. Who's available though, obviously. Don't just want any shower shite, do we?
And before Matt passes out with rage at Ian taking so long, we'll finish on this from James Murgatroyd. Is the team and manager the real deal? James is asking a question already. We're only 2 league games into the season, but is this team going to finish top 2? Or we're going to boss it? Are the signs good, or do you think it's another false dawn like last season?
Is Lee Grant the real deal? You bet he is. Will we finish top 2? You bet we won't. But that's just the way that Town go. It'll be not to do with wonderful Lee if we don't finish top 2. No, I'm joking. Injuries, I think, are the thing that could get in the way. I think we do need a couple more recruits, and I would like a left-footed person like Steve just talked about. But compared to the team of last year, it's stronger all round. Is it the real deal? Probably not. Is Lee Grant the real deal? Probably not yet. But what's he got wrong so far? Not a lot. So I don't think he could have done much better. So it's been a fantastic start. So very high hopes for him delivering for us this season for me.
Perfect. Right. Northern football rocks, Jed Robinson says. We'll leave it on that. Guys, thank you very much, as always. We'll go before Ian gets told off. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, guys, and your comments as always. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already on YouTube and Spotify. Give us another listen if you want. Recommend to your friends. And yeah, as always, get involved. And if you want to come on the show, just drop us a message. Go to takesthatchance.com and we'll get you on talking with us. But yeah, let ears open for another 3 points at Blackpool. See you soon, everyone. Bye for now. And as always, up the town.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. And the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.